because I don't have a ton to say about. I do and I don't. My first have not seen is I promised this. I promised I would watch this movie. It's the sequel to The Raid Redemption. It is The Raid 2.
Cuma beberapa bulan. Kamu nggak boleh tahu aku ada di mana. Dan aku nggak boleh dekat kamu.
Nah, kalau kita mau membersihkan kota ini dengan bersih, kita harus tangkap mereka. Nama-nama yang penting.
And just like the previous movie, this movie is violent as fuck. There are before I get into what it's about, I do have to shout out my 3 favorite characters. A character I call the Batman, another character I call Hammer Girl, and Claw Guy, because they are violent. So this one, instead of it being kind of the last one was kind of like Dread, where it was like a group of policemen trying to invade, or try to not invade, but infiltrate a apartment building. This one is now, it takes place almost immediately after, and the cops convince the main guy from the last one to go undercover and get close to this crime boss and go work for him. And I'm maybe missed this bit, but to get the corrupt cops, because they're not trying to take down the crime boss, they're trying to get the corrupt cops. That's who they care about more. And you don't care about the story. It's not really about the story. Once again, it's about the excessively violent action sequences. And this one is even more violent than the last one. And I know that these movies are meant to be commentary on like the Indonesian government or whatever, but I just don't believe that even the most corrupt cops can get away with letting like a parade of just bodies just pile up. You know what I mean? Like, there's a point where there's a character, I affectionately call him the Batman, and that's because, Jordan, you'll never guess what he does.
Beats people up with a bat?
He absolutely beats people up with a bat. He beats the crap out of them with that bat. And they are some fucking phenomenal action sequences. Holy shit. They're so good. They're well choreographed. They're well shot. Everything's stable. They're brutal. When he cracks people with that baseball bat, it is unpleasant sounding. There's another girl who I call her Hammer Girl. And she hits people with hammers. She's got 2 hammers, and she like bashes them in the face with the one hammer, and then like stabs them in the face with the back half of the hammer. And she's just like tearing people's faces apart, and it is brutal. But at one point, there's a bunch of just corpses, and I'm like, I feel like even the shittiest, dirtiest cop can't get away with letting bodies just pile up.
And yet, they did.
But like, yeah, if you like a well-constructed, and to be fair, I watched the dub. Now, this dub was actually okay. Like, they did a decent job of matching the energy. The lip flaps match up okay, but there's a weird scene where it looks like the guy is speaking English. Like, his lip flaps are moving directly, so I don't know if he's still being dubbed over or what that is in Indonesian. I don't know what language they speak in Indonesia. But in the original language version, if he's speaking in English there, but it looked like his lip flaps were matching up. It was very weird. But yeah, it's kind of like Ninja Assassin, where it's like, if you like just a nasty, bloody, like, violent action movie, which I know you do, then absolutely.
Oh yeah.
This is totally your bag. Like, it is a gnarly movie, and it's really well made. It is I definitely get when people are like, that bat sequence is one of the greatest action sequences ever choreographed, and I do not disagree. There's a bit where a guy shows up, I think he's got a machete or something, and he's just fighting them all off with one hand, and it's well made, and it's kind of the point where like, I've been watching so much Cobra Kai, and like, karate is for defense, and it's like, not all of these martial arts are for defense. This is very much
Right.
to hurt people. The guy, like, I just enjoyed at a certain point, this guy had no moral qualms about loss of life. He was just like, I will kill everybody and anyone in my way. I don't care. It's rad. Super rad. That's the
Is
rating.
that all you have to say about that one?
I do. It is.
Okay. So, it's time for my final have not seen, which I saved the best for last.
I did as well.
As I'm known to do. I watched Ip Man 2, which, if you saw our last Kung Fu
Is it better than the first one?
extravaganza, I would say it's on par with the first one.
Oh, that's high praise.
Um,
Now, many sequels don't make it up in the second one, you know.
It feels okay. It feels like more, and this is either going to be praise or discouragement, depending on who you are. But it really truly does just feel like a continuation of the first one.
Yeah.
So like had this come out, when did this come out? This came out in 2010. Had the Ip Man Chronicle, like it had the story of Ip Man been told in 2025, it probably would have been like a Netflix series where like it was split amongst a bunch of different episodes.
Yeah.
This just feels like the next episode, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Picked up right where the last one left off.
Not quite right where it left off, but close enough.
More or less.
So as an aside, and this is gonna
More or less.
yes. This is gonna maybe seem like a random thing. How much do you know about Hong Kong?
I know it was at one point a British colony.
Okay, because I was gonna say I didn't. So, and that leads to an interesting point in the latter half of this movie, because basically the first point of first half of this movie is Yip and his wife and their child have recently moved to Hong Kong after the events of the last one, where there's the whole, Japanese occupation of China and him almost dying. And so in this one, they're in Hong Kong, and he's trying to set up a new dojo so that he can, be paid to do the thing that he does so well.
A Mojo dojo?
Yes.
I'm proud of that one.
Yes. You shouldn't be.
I am. I'm proud of that one. I had that in the chamber.
And so then he discovers that in order to be a master, be recognized as a master in the city of Hong Kong, he has to first go through the challenge of
beating a guy up.
Basically.
Beating multiple guys up.
Basically, he has to. They have a stick of incense, and he has to stay on top of. They set up like a table, which is supposed to be like the ring or whatever. And there's a table, and there's a bunch of chairs, and then there's other tables, and you basically have to stay up on top of it for as long as the incense burns or the other masters of the city wish to continue to fight. And so he has to fight a bunch of the masters and stuff, and ultimately they recognize him as a grandmaster as well, and then he is allowed to train, and they want him to pay like $100 or 100 yen or whatever it is, 100 pounds I guess, because it was a British colony, a month to be able to keep his gym open, and he's like, I won't do that, basically. And so he has a rivalry with the other gyms at first, and then slowly over the course of the movie he becomes friends with most of them, and then the second half of the movie
he beats someone up.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Okay.
The second half of this movie, and this is where I say you either like that it follows kind of a similar thing to the first one, or you don't, because in the first one, the second half of the movie is
he beats someone up.
Shut up. Stop interrupting. The second half of the first one is that the Chinese fighters are being challenged by the Japanese fighters, and ultimately Ip Man has to go and challenge the Japanese general. To refresh your mind of what of the first one.
I do
So
recall.
in this one, the big thing in this one is that there's a British boxing champion, Taylor the Twister Miller, who I'm guessing is based on a real person. Um, and he is been challenging the Eastern fighters, the Hong Kong fighters, and he ends up challenging one of Ip Man's friends and killing him, because when he fights, apparently he just can't help that killing instinct.
He's just too strong.
Apparently,
He's got too much power.
And so then
too much power. He can't handle all the power.
So then he goes on the news and is basically like, yeah, the other guy was so weak and I'm just so powerful.
My dick the subigo.
That like he was so weak. It wasn't my fault that he died. But if any Chinese fighter wants to come and challenge me, then I will, and yada yada yada. And so Ip Man starts training to fight him, and the final scene is yet again Ip Man going up against the big strong fighter guy that nobody else can fight, but he is the one who ultimately comes victorious again. And it's like, in a lot of ways I can see the similarities between the first one and the second one, but it works for me because the choreography and the fighting is just so sick.
I mean, nothing looks better than just absurdly and upsettingly brutal combat.
And my one thing with this movie,
never not gonna be fun,
where it's like it kind of not pulls me out of it, but I was as I was watching it, and I was like, even watching the older gentleman fight the boxer, I'm like, they haven't, in terms of this movie at this point, set any rules that stop the kung fu person from being able to like kick or like do any kung fu-esque things that would make boxers kind of irrelevant, like going low,
yeah,
or going for ground combat,
prevent it from becoming UFC
like
1.
Right now. Now, also, this is making one of them very, very tired, which is Art Jemison on the bottom, because he's got to try to push him off.
I tell you what, it is no fun being on the bottom with a jiu-jitsu man.
But I think Art's doing pretty good because he's trying.
Yeah, and so later when Ip Man is fighting him, he keeps kicking him, kind of proving my point, and he's knocked the boxer down at least once, like, and the count is started and stuff, and so the boxer gets up and says something to the referee, and the referee at that point is like, no more kicks. And like, the movie wants to play it like the boxer is being the unreasonable one because he's been a villain and he's killed someone and he's a general asshole. Like, he's not a good person.
Ref, this feels unfair.
In terms of a fair fight, no.
Ref's
Why
like,
would
you
the boxer go up?
You can kick him too if you want. I don't want to, though. It's kind of the point.
Like, it's just, yeah, and so it's like, on the one hand, like, yeah, at least they address it, but on the other hand, it's like, well, it's not really a true test of skill because it can't be. Because, yeah, Ip Man is essentially having his hands tied behind his back.
The reason why boxers and MMA fighters don't fight.
Yeah, and so it makes for a good movie, right? But, like, in terms of, like, thinking of this as an actual fight, it pulls me a little bit out of it. But one of the things that I did, it was a little jarring, because I, for whatever reason, just didn't see it coming, and I didn't realize at first that it was supposed to be that the British was occupying the city. But there's obviously British people in this, and they just speak English. And so it's like, you'll have scenes where the Chinese are speaking in Chinese and the British guys are speaking in English, and there's literally in the movie a translator there who's translating between the two of them, and I'm like, that's cool.
That
like,
is
I
pretty
like
cool.
that. I like that as a movie making technique where
That's
it's
a nice
like
touch.
you're not afraid to have them speak in their own language. It's a nice touch.
It's a nice touch.
I really and so then I was reading a little bit of behind the scenes stuff here, and apparently originally Ip Man 2 was going to focus more on Bruce Lee and Ip Man, like training and like Bruce Lee was going to be more in the movie, but they couldn't get the film rights to him basically from his family.
Oh, yeah, I know they're
For-
notoriously very protective of his image.
Which is why he only appears, spoiler alert, why he only appears very, like, at the very end as a kid.
As in a Marvel post-credit scene.
文叔，我认识了个新朋友，他想跟你学功夫，我带他来见你。进来呀、
我想跟你学拳，要多少钱？
你叫什么名字？
我叫李小龙。
哦，那你为什么想学拳？
看到不顺眼的人，我就要打他。
真厉害啊！
Is how they that's how they got around from that.
Bruce
So
Lee walks out. Like, have you heard of the Bruce Lee Initiative?
So I will definitely be returning to this series. I want to see the third one because, yeah, at the end credits they have the little, you know, the text information thing where they tell you about stuff, and like they talk about Bruce Lee and how he comes back at 16 to train with Ip Man and how he's integrated a lot of Ip Man's style into his own and like give you all this little background stuff. So I'm like, for the third one, like they've shown Bruce Lee here, right? Like they've got to like have him in there somehow, right? Like it's got to be where the third one leads, because from what I understand, there's like 5 of these things.
Yeah, all equally. I mean, to be fair, they get progressively more straight to DVD as they go on, to my knowledge.
So I figure
5 more episodes.
He's got to be in one of these.
Yeah. Jordan, is that it for?
But yeah, that's Ip Man 2. So budget, it had a budget of US. A lot, 12 million, 12 billion. I think that's billion. 12 billion. And it made 49 whatever. A lot. It made a lot of money. Is the point.
Very successful. Very successful. So well, hi there, everybody. It's Endcard Justin. Let me know down in the comments. Have you seen Ip Man 2 or The Raid 2? Do you agree? Are they better or just as good or worse even than the first ones? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below. But if you would like to see the full podcast, our Kung Fu Special 2, we talked about Karate Kid and Cobra Kai and all sorts of Jackie Chan movies. You click the box on the left, that'll take you right there, or you click the box on the right and that'll take you to a random video that YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We put new videos out every single day on this channel, and we have a new podcast out every Sunday, or you can just leave us a like. That also helps as well. But we'll see you next time, everybody. Have a good day.